Hi guys, it's Haylie, your nutritionist, and we get a lot of questions about supplements and supplementation. For me, it's been something that has completely changed my life. It really is a cornerstone for my clinical success, but also my personal health journey. I never intended to go out and create supplements that are branded with my name on them. I actually have been in clinical practice for over 25 years and have really embraced a lot of different supplements and products. One thing that started happening in the supplement industry, and it really happened about 10 years ago, was it became very popular to manufacture supplements that had labels that maybe said B vitamins or something like that, but they really didn't disclose the source or the even efficacy of the raw ingredients. So you'll see a lot of stuff out there that says like proprietary blend, which means, they don't want to tell you kind of what's in it, how many milligrams, what's the potency, and where was it sourced from. So for my own health and that of my clients and being in clinical practice, I really started researching how I could create products that had incredibly pure and effective raw ingredients. Actually, I first started formulating for several different companies, and I've actually formulated, we were looking the other day, for 18 different supplement companies, helping them create products that could make a health impact. I was very frustrated in that industry, though. I was frustrated in that position, and I was frustrated because I felt like there was a lot of corner cutting where people would add like a little sprinkle of, let's see, say like theanine, this amino acid that's supposed to be amazing for mood elevation and depression, and there's all these great studies. Well, they'd put like a little sprinkle of it in so that they could put it on the label, but it wasn't even the source of theanine, like suntheanine, that actually was tied to those studies. And it wasn't even enough to make an impact. We always say it's kind of like peeing in the ocean, didn't make an impact. So really out of, I feel like reluctantly, I started to create a few products myself that I had total control over the raw ingredients, total control over potency, total control over cleanliness. And I also researched a lot of things that were going on in other countries as far as testing. So in our line, the one thing that I can say is that if there's something better out there, I will let someone joyfully and successfully sell it. I won't put my name on a label if someone else can manufacture it better, because it's again not what I set out to do as a nutritionist. But if it has our label on it, I have very strong conviction that there is not a better place to source the ingredient. There is not a better formulation for the ingredient. And it's not just because of all my expertise that I bring to the table, but like with my clinic, I believe we have a clinic without walls. I bring in the best of the best from an expertise perspective and seek their advice as well. The other thing is all of our products, we cage all of our products after manufacturing and do independent assaying. It's not required in the United States. It's required in some other countries. The reason why we do that is because when you take a product like, for example, our cleanse, and you bring multiple nutrients together, each individual nutrient might assay or test clean, but when you bring them together, it's critical that you see that no levels of any heavy metal, of bacterial count, of fungal count, when you bring those together, those can elevate. I learned that actually while I was manufacturing, or I was formulating for two other companies. They decided to play with that theory of caging and testing their product once it was formulated, and they had a 98% failure rate testing those products post blending them, and they decided they would never participate in that again, and they went ahead and sold their product, and they're selling it very successfully. So when I decided to formulate something, I said, if it doesn't pass post testing, even though we are not required to do that, I'm not going to take it, my clients aren't going to take it, and my community members will not be offered it with my name on it. So what I wanted to do today is, we get a lot of questions about our product, and I wanted to bring some of our community members, some of our team members as well. We have a couple people calling in, and I wanted to see what questions you have for me. So you guys can ask me anything. I want to start with a caller that we have in. Tim, I know that you had a question, and in case you have to jump off, I wanted to make sure you got your question answered today.
No problem. Thank you, Haylie. If I'm healthy, what are the most important supplements to take?
That's a great question. And first, when you tell me you're healthy, I want to make sure that you filled out your health wish list, that there's not anything that I can challenge you to want a little bit more in your health and wellness. Maybe it's, to increase your speed if you're running. Maybe it's to sleep a little deeper. Maybe it's to have a little more energy in the afternoon. So first and foremost, I want to make sure that you're not just healthy, but you're outrageously healthy. Secondly, a general overall really important supplement protocol, in my opinion, is to make sure that you're taking a very high quality multivitamin. I say everybody every day should be taking a quality multivitamin. Little tricks is turn your bottles around right now if you're taking a multivitamin, and make sure that your B vitamins are methylated. If it says, I'm going to give you a tip, if it says cyanocobalamin, throw it in the trash. If it says methylcobalamin, odds are that they have invested in a B vitamin that comes from a cleaner raw ingredient and one that's more bioavailable. So that's like the first rule of thumb whenever I'm looking for a multivitamin, of if I know if it's just full of crap, because if they're not investing in that, I will tell you when they get to things that are really expensive as a raw ingredient, like your amino acids, you want to make sure that they're chelated. So we actually select a patented, we purchase the raw ingredient from a patented formula of chelated amino acids. And what chelated means is they're wrapped up so that they pass into the gut, they pass the acidity of the stomach, and they can be absorbed more efficiently into the bloodstream. If they're not chelated and they're just thrown in a bottle for you to take, you're making very expensive urine, right? We want to make sure it doesn't pass through in a water form that you urinate it out. We want to make sure that it gets taken up into the bloodstream and that it helps level the playing field, and that's what a multivitamin should do. I'm a big stickler for probiotics. Probiotics are so important, especially what's happening right now is a lot of people and a lot of places are using a lot of sanitizers, right? Hand sanitizers, countertop sanitizers. Those sanitizers are antimicrobial. They do break down, they're designed to break down the protein layer that's wrapping around a virus or a bacteria, like foodborne illness or a viral infection. The problem is that we're ingesting a ton of that stuff right now. And it's non-discriminate, meaning it kills the good bacteria and the good flora that exists in our bodies. So we're really under siege. We all know that probiotics are phenomenal for the immune system. They're great for mood and elevation because of serotonin and dopamine. Those help bind with those receptor sites. They're phenomenal because they're anti-yeast, antifungal. But they're really strong for inflammation. They're really profound in weight loss resistance. So individuals that can't lose weight, a healthy probiotic supplementation can be important. So much so that right now we're seeing in this industry that people are doing what they call fecal transplants, where they're actually having bacteria from other people's GI tracts inserted as a fecal transplant. So I would say you need your multi, you need your probiotic, and then you definitely want a fatty acid. So fatty acids are really complicated. They're the building blocks for all of your hormones, your sex hormones, your anti-inflammatory hormones. The issues with fatty acids is a lot of people take fish oils or krill oils. You have to be careful if you take the omega-3s without a vegetable-based non-soy omega-6. What we find in research is that they can actually be pro-inflammatory if you're already in an inflammatory cycle. So if you have no pain, if you have really regular hormones, the fish oils can be okay and adequate to take. If you fall into the category where you have any pain, any hormone issues, you really want to turn your bottle around and make sure that it's not animal derived and it's not soy derived. Those would be the top 3 things, Tim, that I would not walk around the world without. I could go on forever, but I want to make sure that I get everybody's questions answered. I want to say and, but let's talk about some more specialty supplements and more therapeutic use of those with some questions. Thanks, Tim. All right, Katie, you're up.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Hi, Haylie, is it more beneficial to take the Bye Belly Fat or the Fat Blaster together or separately?
Ooh, that's a fabulous question, and a question that we get a lot on the community. So what I've done is I've taken 3 supplements that we use therapeutically, and I call them a supplement trio. And you mentioned 2 of them. One is the Bye Belly Fat, and one is the Fat Blaster. So theoretically, let's go high level first. The Bye Belly Fat are nutrients, and again, when we purchase our raw ingredient, so I guess as a nutritionist, this frustrates me. You'll see these studies, these really great double-blind studies that say, you know, salicylic acid or suntheanine or CLA, conjugated linoleic acid, which is in the Bye Belly Fat, really helps, you know, midsection weight gain loss, or really helps stabilize blood sugar. And all these companies they don't use the raw ingredient that was used in the study. So it's so frustrating for me. And then people don't realize or recognize the results. So in the Bye Belly Fat, it's really designed to help balance and bring to homeostasis. The nutrients are designed that proliferate midsection weight gain that's really soft and really fluffy. So a lot of women that are going through menopause or perimenopause, a lot of men that are going through menopause will start to notice the midsection feeling really soft and really squishy. They can't get the tonicity. That's an indication that the Bye Belly Fat would be a good one. So we have 3 things in that one. There's DIM, which helps metabolize non-metabolized sex hormones. So think estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. If you guys could mute, whoever's not asking a question right now, that would be awesome. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Perfect. The conjugated linoleic acid is a particular fatty acid that helps stabilize blood sugar distribution and insulin resistance. So a lot of times when we're talking about that spare tire, people talk about insulin resistance. We want to use that nutrient to help create a homeostasis so the body scavenges that fat for fuel. And then the third thing is metabolism-free radicals. So in the free radicals, those nutrients in that help support the hormones of inflammation. So we have kind of inflammation, blood sugar stabilization, and hormone metabolism in that bundle. The other bundle, so that's more of what we call the physiology of fat gain, the physiology of proliferation of fat cells, right? The hormones of it. The Fat Blaster is a little more the anatomy of the fat cell itself, okay? So the fat cells, when we create fat cells, when we produce more or they stretch when they get full, like a big garbage bag that gets full, the anatomy of it is it's got a hard outer shell. We have, usually when it releases, we have what we call fat-soluble toxins, because that's what we store in our fat cells. And then when a fat cell's buoyant or stretched, it actually imbalances things called leptin and adiponectin, so hormones that stimulate more fat cells. So what do I say to my husband when we're cleaning up leaves in the yard and I've got a trash bag that's just about to burst with leaves? I say, honey, go get me more trash bags, right? So when the fat cells are stressed, we tell our body, the brain and the physiology of the body, when they're stretched, we say, get me more trash bags or more fat cells. So that's why we put the metabolism histamine in this formula. The metabolism histamine helps lower the tautness of the fat cells, which helps a cascade of saying, I don't need any more garbage bags, right? So again, if I'm collecting leaves in the yard and I've got a garbage bag that's not full, I'm not going to call for more garbage bags. So the enzymes in that Fat Blaster helps to break down the outer shell. And what happens when we break down the outer shell of the fat cell is it releases the toxins. If we don't have something to bind and take away those toxins, they just go to another garbage bag or another fat cell. That's why we see individuals that have liposuction if they don't change their diet and don't change their hormone protocol, or they will remove those fat cells, but they will gain fat in other areas. So we get individuals that have like midsection liposuction that get a lot of upper body fat distribution that they had never had in their life before if we don't go in and balance the metabolism. So when those fat cells are released, when the enzymes kind of break it, we're starting to squish it and shrink it, we use a natural chelator in metabolism metals. And that chelator, it doesn't really provide a lot of nutrients for the body. It actually goes in and it binds. It's like a magnet, and it's got nutrients in it that help move things, fiber, move things out through the colon. So it has a chelator, which binds the newly released toxins, and then it has something that helps promote moving it out of the bowel. So the why we're storing fat is bye-bye belly fat, and how to chisel it free is Fat Blaster. You can take them together. So like, for example, a lot of my clients take the bye-bye belly fat, but they still take enzymes with each of their meals. If you're using it therapeutically to break down fat, that's the whole enzyme debate on our website. You want to move those enzymes away from your meal and between your meals so they're in the bloodstream without as much food nutrients in the bloodstream. Some people take the bye-bye belly fat all the time because they had midsection weight gain, they've sculpted their belly back, and they're like, I don't ever want that to happen again, or it really helps regulate their cycles, or it's alleviated their hot flashes, or they're sleeping really deeply, and they say, you're never taking me off the bye-bye belly fat. Totally fine. But maybe they have allergies and they layer in the histamine. If you're using them therapeutically, I love you to do 1 month, 1 month, 1 month. If you're using it so to get weight off, when you come to a place where you're wanting to really hold, I like to do the bye-bye belly fat and then layer in the histamine and the enzymes if you need that nutritionally. Say that 10 times fast. Katie, does that feel clear? So the caveat that I want to say, the Fat Blaster, you use the enzymes differently than you're using it. So the enzymes help take food and break it down into nutrients, which heal the metabolism, right? When you're using it to chisel the fat, you take that enzyme, and instead of doing it at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you move it into between meals, and that's when the Fat Blaster should always be taken, which is between meals. Sound good?
Yeah.
Sometimes I have clients that instead of a month on, month off, they'll actually, when they're really, like when we're trying to really get after it, and I had a client that needed knee surgery, and they insurance wouldn't approve it until we lost 27 pounds. And so we did Fat Blaster, belly fat, Fat Blaster, belly fat every other week, just to kind of get his body, responding. Confuse it to lose it. Remember that. Does that help, Katie?
Yes, that is great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Leilani, thanks for coming. Do you have any questions for me? Oh, I got you on mute, Leilani. I'm so sorry.
I would like to talk to you about control. That's one of my favorite supplements that you have. And it does help me with my cravings, but I also notice if I miss it, I'm not as happy. And I was wondering if you can go into why.
Right. So the metabolism control, I have all the products right here. It's an interesting product. So I first started using that product when I had a lot of clients that we were dealing with a lot of really heavy addiction. And addiction wasn't, at the time, I was working with a lot of clients that, were using some really heavy drugs and heavy medication. And we were trying to do, I was brought in on a project that I was working with an addiction facility, and they were having me come in and formulate some nutrients that would help nourish the brain and the adrenals as quickly as possible. And in this particular case, it was heroin, and they were going on to methadone. And they asked me to come in and formulate some nutrients that would help the withdrawals. And so I started really researching a lot of what happens in the brain with cravings, and the genetic aspects of that too. And I found that there's nutrients that we can uptake and absorb, and that help, one, clean the receptor sites. So even individuals, I then went on and worked in a large group of individuals that were using serotonin reabsorption inhibitors, so like Prozac and Zoloft, a lot of the antidepressant drugs. And anytime I get to work in those kind of condensed environments, and they're looking at the pharmacology of the drug, and I'm looking at the nutraceutical aspect of the supplement, it really makes me ponder, kind of, again, back to the metabolism. What can we maximize in our own bodies, and what can we nourish to flourish, right? So that's how metabolism control actually came about. And so, yeah, a lot of our clients that struggle with afternoon fatigue, with afternoon cravings, with coffee withdrawals, sugar cravings, like, swear by that. As you know, they won't go without it. But the part that's so important to me with the metabolism control, and when you look, again, it goes into that balancing of those, helping those neurotransmitters, is the mood elevation and stabilization. So it works 3 prongs. There's nutrients in there that help balance what we call the triple warmer. So the pituitary, thyroid, and adrenals. They're, in Chinese medicine, they call it the triple warmer. In Western medicine, it's the hormone feedback loop. So it helps make that symphony of hormones just a little more in sync. That's one. There's kind of 3 cascades of nutrients in that product. The other is, there's nutrients in the product that helps wash the receptor sites for your feel-good hormones. So the ones that make you feel like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, or like when you get butterflies, or when something happens and it just brings you joy to the point where you physiologically feel it in your body. Those are secreted oftentimes, but the receptor sites in our brain get kind of gummed up. And so people get to where they don't feel joy, they don't hear music as innately, and it's one that we use a lot with our musicians, or actually a lot of our sound producers, because it really helps those receptor sites in the brain be able to receive all of our senses. So that's probably, I would imagine, your body's like just sucking up that part of this nutrient, probably why you feel the mood elevation piece of it. The other is, there are nutrients in here that are designed to feed an area of the brain that helps left brain, right brain integration. So taking thought and putting it into action. So a lot of my younger clients that use terms like ADD or ADHD, that were looking to nourish or nurture the brain. Or I have a client that was studying for a huge a bar exam, one that was getting their PhD in endocrinology. This is like brain food. So it helps integrate that thought, the left brain, into substance, that right brain. So it's kind of a 3-pronged product, and it's probably one of the reasons why you feel that mood elevation. So I'm glad you love it. It was like a crazy journey that took me to that one, from heroin to antidepressants, to the physiology of sugar addiction. I mean, there is a lot of really crazy, amazing science around that. So that's a great question. All right, Steve, you're up.
Thanks for doing this, Haylie. This is a lot of fun. I'm sure your phone's been blowing up these past couple of months. We appreciate you spending some time with us today. And
Absolutely.
Speaking about what's going on, and my family takes the full complement of your supplements every day, and we've been very healthy through this time period. But what about stress? I mean, there's obviously a lot of stress in these stressful times, and is there something you have for us that's specifically targeted towards helping us to kind of deal with what's going on?
Yeah, actually, so like Tim had said, making sure you have the kind of the basic building blocks, the the probiotic, and the fatty acids. And then I do too. I do metabolism energy, and then I drink the metabolism stress. And kind of like we talked with Leilani, the multi-prong approach. So stress is a funny thing, because we always think of stress as negative, right? We think stress is killing us, stress is causing heart disease, stress is promoting inflammation. But stress is a trigger to stimulate our adaptive hormones, which are actually the most beautiful and amazing things in our bodies. They help us know if a tiger's on our tail to run. We want those, sharp as a sword. They tell us to feel love, to feel passion. And so when the stressors, like maybe what's going on environmentally, what's going on physiologically, what's going on, issues to watch the news, right? When the stressors drag our body down, it's because we're not nurturing ourselves enough to have those really swift and savvy adaptation hormones. So magnesium's always, there's tons and tons of research on magnesium and stress hormones. Again, I'm gonna try not get on my soapbox but magnesium is one that there is so many awful raw ingredients in magnesium. When we go and purchase a raw ingredient, you get this scale and it's like 0.02 cents per milligram, or like 220 per milligram. The variation is crazy. So you want to make sure that you use a magnesium. A lot of magnesiums go right into the colon, and they require hydration, water. So that's why people use magnesium as a laxative. So like Epsom salt is a magnesium. You want to use a strategic magnesium that's designed to actually permeate through the blood-brain barrier. And when we were researching this product, yeah, there was a lot of junk out there, but once we found a patented raw ingredient that we could purchase, the studies and the research on it were like it hurt my heart to think about how much benefit kids or adults or anybody really could have from a nutrient like this. So you want to research your magnesium, and you want to make sure that it's a really quality one. And then the two other things is, I know I've mentioned suntheanine. It's a big one. It's a mood elevator, but it helps wash those receptor sites. So it doesn't matter what you're eating, what you're doing, how you're exercising. If the receptor sites for the hormones, so think about the lock and key. If those receptor sites, if there's gum in your door lock, it doesn't matter how many sets of keys you have manufactured or how the quality of the key that you have manufactured. That lock has to be receptive to that hormone. So that's why for me, when I started formulating, I saw people spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in manufacturing on these products, and even buying really good raw ingredients. And I was actually doing formulation in the fertility world, and they just weren't having, that's a really quick, really nice environment to study. Either you get pregnant or you don't, either you ovulate, you don't, they're doing PGD, quality of the eggs, all of that. In that world, it gave me the opportunity to see that if you put this super high quality nutrient like our magnesium, but you don't put something that helps wash the receptor site, again, you can make really expensive urine. So the stress blend is a beverage. We made it in a powder beverage because we wanted, even though we have a slow release, we wanted it to be able to be absorbed efficiently while you're being hydrated into the bloodstream. The other piece that the stress has, so if you're looking for a stress-based supplement, you don't want to use mine, totally cool. Check out your magnesium, check out so that it has L-theanine, so that it helps with those receptor sites, and that it has support for what's called GABA, G-A-B-A. GABA helps to nourish a particular part of the brain that, again, moves left brain, right brain integration. So a lot of the GABA research is with individuals that have brain injury, brain trauma. I actually first started researching GABA when I was working with Dr. McIntosh at the Brain Injury Recovery Center in Colorado, and the benefits and the support of it. So those are the three things that I would say. So Steve, you can look at the FoodRx program for stress. But I know you guys are wanting me to ask about the supplement piece. Make sure that you take a high quality theanine, suntheanine, a GABA, and a magnesium that can actually be absorbed into the blood-brain barrier. So I know I start kind of geeking out on this, you guys. Sorry, I got a little excited. Maybe I'm washing my hormone receptor sites really well right now. But I know people, I am a diehard. You can, when you're in my home, when you travel the world with me, you will see that I live and breathe natural therapies, and it's changed my life, and I hope that it changes yours for the better, and I hope that you have incredible health every single day. And if you ever want to be on one of these roundtables and you have questions for me, post below this post, and we will reach out to you, and I'd love to have you on and ask you questions, or have you ask me questions. All right, guys, thanks for coming on. Thanks for the questions, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.